no doubt you will see this through.
War is tragic. Clinging to the past is tragic.
How do you suggest we begin?
The Grey House.
I definitely felt the weight of it in terms of like, I shamedly was not aware of this woman and Mary Jane either. Like it was a part of history that I wasn't aware of. And I'm very humbled to have learnt about them and it. And they are extraordinary examples of the most brave, courageous and fiercely tenacious women and spirits. So I was remarkably inspired by each of their stories, and everything that they endured and risked and sacrificed in their quest for freedom, and preservation of American democracy. It was, a remarkable learning curve for me. And I'm very grateful and privileged to be able to bring their story to more people and tell the world about their extraordinary existence.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know about her either. I think sometimes if we just rely on what we're taught in school, we only will learn about like one lady or one or two ladies from this time period. And I think it's beautiful that you're able to highlight, it's not just like one person. Like everyone knows about the Underground Railroad, but you don't think about how many people had to be working on it. It couldn't have just been Harriet Tubman by herself. It had to be a lot of people, and it had to be white ladies too. Like you had to have people there to help in all different areas. And I think, I mean, I felt the weight of it, but I was just like so excited and so focused on just wanting to do a good job. I didn't like let the weight, I knew like thinking about the weight of it would make me probably act worse. So I tried not to think about that.
Because I love studying about Frederick Douglass, I had known about him before. And I've known that he had also had impactful speeches, because many of them were a different caliber than Douglas's speeches, which were, Douglas was far more diplomatic. Diplomatic may not be the right word, but political, where I like to liken them unto Dr. King. Frederick Douglass was the Dr. King of his day, and Garnett was the Malcolm X of his day. I didn't feel the pressure of having to imagine the weight of what he's talking about, because as a Black man in America, I could say those words today, right now, very now, and mean it. Mm-hmm. So, that was a kind of a wonderful thing. But at the same time, it's like, damn, are we still having this conversation? But it's also encouraging in the way, because just like his words were impactful at the time and made a difference, so it can make a difference once again when we face incredible times like these, when we need these conversations. We need the encouragement of somebody like Garnett to be able to speak truth to power and to encourage you as an individual to know that you can make a difference. You're not alone, and you don't have to be alone.
Pretty interesting thing to go and do something, jump into someone's shoes that is a real person. How are you going to get it? How are you going to fill it? People who know who this guy was. Wasn't a lot of intel on the guy, but he was an extraordinary human being, and he helped change this whole changed the whole American war. But, because he's kind of got the Blarney Stone going at the time, but because he did do a lot, and he maybe might have blown that out of proportion, or just, no, I did that, or that kind of a thing. But at the same time, he made a huge difference and kept this whole thing going, and to keep it on the right path.
It's a real pleasure to step into those shoes of a historical figure, but it's also, those are really big shoes to fill, and you want to do it justice. So you do all the research you can, and then you sort of fill in the gaps. And I would say, a lot of that starts at home in your mind. And then also, Chris is sort of right, the journey over to where you're filming, and then you step on set, and everyone that's done the set design and the costumes and the hair and the makeup, it all filters into this platform that you get to stand on and tell this story. It's quite immense, but it's a privilege.
There were many great debauched nights, for sure. We were in nightclubs, and Leslie's like an old world, producer, impresario, and he, would put together these great nights, and we'd be wasted, smoking cigars and dancing and taking over these restaurants. So I think that went a long way to kind of washing off the stench of the events of the story.
These characters certainly were on the wrong side of history, but they were, in the show, like really presented in three dimensions, and shown why their impulses were the way they were, why their perspectives were the way they were. And it was a different time, and not to excuse a lot of their behavior, but I really enjoyed diving in and learn. I didn't know much about Jefferson Davis at all, and read a bunch of books and didn't know much about the Civil War, not as much as I should. And I pledged I would continue that research, but I've faltered a little bit.
I wanted to be a part of really, really getting down and dirty and having the audience feel like they were there, that they were living that. And don't apologize, and don't hold back. Don't pull the punches, just really go for it. And I knew that the only way I could do that was that my way I was taught was in acting is you live truthfully under imaginary circumstances, and you're in a bubble while you do this. And as long as you don't, Bill Esper used to teach us that as long as you don't physically hurt anybody, you can say anything, however you want to say it, whatever words and whatever volume you want to use. You just can't hurt the person by throwing a chair at them or a punch or anything like that. And these guys, these were all professionals that I worked with, and everybody knew this is how you do it. You have to do that, because otherwise it's not going to have an impact on an audience. And how do you have an impact for something so old as the Civil War? The only way to make it timely or timeless is to go for it. And that's what we do. That's what we did.
Yeah, I think it's exactly that. It's the kind of modality, like the duplicity that Elizabeth has, and how she's forced to be a chameleon in so many different settings. And I think playing with that was just, it was a incredibly unique and enjoyable thing to play with as an actor. And then the moments where we see the true Elizabeth break through, that was kind of exhilarating, because I feel like a lot of the time we had to kind of keep the lid on who she was in order to achieve what they were trying to achieve. And in those moments by herself where she's able to just kind of break through the mold, as it were, was cathartic for me, for sure, but was also just testament to the person that she was, where she just had a facade, and she had so much bravery and courage to be out in plain sight and be all of these kind of, she was multitudinous. And I just think that is testament to her, that she was able to keep it up for so long and do it so well. to achieve all that they achieved.
I really love, like, I think the audience will be surprised that there's a lot of lighter comedic moments. And I'm just thinking about, I know Daisy and Mary Louise, they do it so well, but they're like, oh, I had no idea. It's just so funny. And it just, and no one's going to think, oh, we're going to laugh at this type of, during this time period, but we're not laughing at the subject matter. It's just real life. And I think they did such a good job at portraying that. It's so fun to watch. I think for me, I enjoyed that I got to, I mean, it wasn't always just sadness and yelling at people. Like, I got to play lighter moments as well. And it's just a well-rounded show. We got to do everything. Like, yeah, it was sad. Yeah, it was fighting. But we also got to have light comedic moments too.
I kind of think back to when I first met Chris on set. It was one of the first days, and I think he'd knocked on my door, and I opened the door and I sort of crouched down, and we had this sweet conversation that did sort of bond us, but in a, like, I don't know, in almost like a father-daughter sort of relationship, which then I think sweetly translates into film as well. And he slowly, maybe not slowly, but warms her up into joining the cause and recognizing that she still has this huge pull to fight for this fight that she absolutely believes in. And so I think it was beautiful having an offset on-set relationship that blossomed, and there was a through line between the two of them.
Yeah, I mean, having that resolve, like utter resolve, that she was willing to sacrifice everything, even her own life, in that moment. And I think, yes, the body has its own way of expressing fear, and even though she was resolute and was like, I'm not scared of you, fine, take me, because my death means that we won, basically. Like, I just, incredibly inspiring. But yeah, having that level of like fear that I can only imagine, because, you know, that was just such a horrific thing to have happened, and I wanted to make it look as genuine as possible. And I remember this, obviously, the scene vividly, and obviously I was in control for safety reasons. But gosh, it definitely, my body felt kind of the beginning effects of it, and just the panic that takes over. But again, just testament to her strength of character. And I hope, I did her justice.
I mean, Clara is devastating, but I think she's also completely aware of the sacrifice and the risks going into this. And I mean, it feels like a bold statement to make, but I would say that she would still say that it was worth it. Otherwise, she wouldn't have signed on for what she did. She knew all the risks at stake and willingly gave her life to the cause. And I think that, as she should be, she would be incredibly proud.
I thought it was very fitting. It was very fitting. There's a moment right before the fire starts where I'm out with the wall in front of the slaves, and Roland just said, "Go for it. Just go for whatever comes to you." And I started acting like a monkey, and making fun of them. And it was just, I mean, I think about it afterwards. Acting, you can't think too much because it'll stop your impulses. And I thought, especially because of that moment of acting like, oh, you're trapped inside here and there's a fire. Oh, I started the fire. That's right. He absolutely had his comeuppance. I thought the audience would hate me much more than they did when I saw it. But I found when we saw it at the screening, guys, that there was like empathy for him. I'm like, really? Interesting.